It is with great honor and joy that I address you at the launch of the 5-year National Development Strategy 1, 2021 to 2025, which is the successor blueprint to the Transitional Stabilization Program, the TSP, coming to an end in December 2020, next month. The TSP has undoubtedly delivered notable and critical successes and has set a firm foundation upon which we can build and achieve our objectives as laid out in this National Development Strategy 1. This momentous occasion signifies our collective aspirations, determination and tenacity as a people to achieve our national vision to become an empowered and prosperous upper middle income society by 2030. The attainment of Vision 2030 is partly premised on the devolution and decentralization agenda, which empowers provinces, districts, and communities to implement development strategies which are informed by their respective resource endowments and competitive advantages. This must see greater innovation, modernization, industrialization, and increased investments across all provinces and districts of our mother country. Through the implementation of the National Development Strategy 1, we therefore envision inclusive development and improved quality of life for our people and shared prosperity. Our country must equally emerge from the strategy period more competitive with diverse and vibrant trade relations and investments. This launch of the National Development Strategy 1 and its subsequent implementation, commencing in January 2021, allows the nation to build on the achievements and the lessons learned during the implementation of the TSP. Our success going forward must continue to be anchored on our united and unitary character as a nation. The undeserved and illegal sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by some Western countries continue to militate against our growth and development. These sanctions have seen elevated country risk factors to our businesses which seek offshore financing, punitive interest rates charged to the state, and our country being overlooked as an attractive investment destination. In spite of these sanctions, we have not buried our heads in the sand, but instead implemented robust, innovative, and responsive strategies to grow and develop our economy. Despite of the shocks we have suffered, such as Cyclone Idai, the successive droughts, and the distressing COVID-19 pandemic, our economy and society remains buoyant. Throughout the TSP cycle, the economy realized the envisaged stabilization goals. Significant and encouraging achievements were registered across the various pillars of Vision 2030, namely inclusive growth, governance, infrastructure and utility, social development, macro stability and financial re-engagement. These also include multifaceted reforms for the ease of doing business and the entrenchment of values of good governance and democracy, facilitation of investment and infrastructure development, fiscal consolidation, strengthening of the monetary policy, and the stabilization of the exchange rate, which was consolidated following the introduction of a foreign exchange auction system. Consequently, the monetary sector has attained stability with an encouraging trajectory on month-on-month inflation. The financial sector is in a good condition, and the country has started to register positive national reserves. In view of the above, the National Development Strategy 1 will therefore be rolled out under better economic conditions than the TSP, and carries with it bold strategies and policies to catapult economic growth in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Development Strategy 1, which I am launching today, is a culmination of extensive consultations involving stakeholders in government, the private sector, Pollard, PAC, labor, civil society, academia, and development partners, among others. This culture, witnessed during the formulation of the NDS-1, should be nurtured, deepened, sustained, and enriched as we embark on its implementation from January 2021 to December 2025. My government remains committed to the implementation of the National Development Strategy number 1. In keeping with my administration's prudent use of public resources, good stewardship, purposeful and strategic development of our resources, the implementation process will insist on a value for money and the visible results which impact on the day-to-day well-being of our people and the growth of the economy as a whole. Informed by the lessons learned to date under the Second Republic, a key design feature in the National Development Strategy 1 is the synchronization of the national budget and national plan implementation process. Consequently, ministry strategic plans have been aligned to the National Development Strategy 1, and the national budget, which will soon be presented by the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, is also aligned. A number of cross-cutting issues have also been mainstreamed within the National Development Strategy. These include gender, youth, and women, people living with disabilities, employment, HIV and AIDS, environment and climate, social accountability, ICTs, capacity building, culture and value systems, among other issues. Distinguished guests, The National Development Strategy will be guided by 14 interconnected national priority areas to be implemented over the next 5 years. These are economic growth and stability, food and nutrition security, governance, moving the economy up the value chain and the structural transformation, human capital development, environmental protection, climate resilience, and the natural resource management, housing delivery, digital economy, health and well-being, infrastructure utilities, image building and international engagement and re-engagement, social protection, youth, sport and culture, and, but not least, devolution and decentralization. The constant tracking of the objective of Vision 2030 will be essential as we go forward. The National Development Strategy 1 will focus on accelerated growth of the economy between 2021 and 2025, leveraging on our agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism across other sectors. The agriculture and the food systems transformation strategy will continue to be boldly implemented towards a vibrant US $8.2 billion agriculture sector that will achieve national food and nutrition security. Agriculture, as a critical sector, will equally facilitate increased exports, innovative market-driven production, productivity, and investments. The modernization of the manufacturing sector will be speeded up through deliberate, practical innovations and inventions to enable our goods and services and products to meet the needs of our people and also competitively penetrate global chains and markets. While the exploitation and management of our natural resources is complex, the National Development Strategy Framework will ensure sustainable growth of the mining sector towards the US $12 billion mining sector economy. Infrastructure and the digital economy, the economic enablers. Riding on the momentum realized during the phase of the TSP, the construction, rehabilitation, and the modernization of key infrastructure will continue with the greater speed under the NDS 1. Focus will be on strategic infrastructure such as energy, water and sanitation, ICT, and transport sectors, which enable Zimbabwe to be more efficient and competitive in the region. Housing delivery. Government will, through NDS 1, prioritize citizens' access to affordable and quality settlements in urban and rural areas. This will be achieved through creation of an enabling environment for other players, as well as the acceleration of the rollout of government-funded housing projects. On governance, the National Development Strategy 1 is set to perpetuate our character as a united, peaceful, stable, and unitary state the entrenchment of democracy, constitutionalism, justice, and the rule of law will be enhanced. The National Discipline Strategy 1 will also seek to improve on public sector transparency, accountability, quality service delivery, and disaster risk management. This strategy gives impetus to the eradication of corruption. On social protection, the availability of social protection for vulnerable groups, which include persons with disabilities, children, and the elderly, shall be enhanced under the National Development Strategy number 1, towards the achievement of development which leaves no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, on the issue of image building, international engagement and re-engagement, under the Second Republic, the engagement and re-engagement policy has resulted in an improved country image and a more astute international relations. Going forward, during the National Development Strategy 1 period, dynamic information management and dissemination strategies will be bolstered for mutually beneficial outcomes within the Committee of Nations. With regard to youth, sports, and culture, the importance of our youth as the future of our nation and a major driver of development cannot be overemphasized. As such, the National Development Strategy 1 will create an environment which enables our youth to think, plan, act, and work with pride, with ambition, with imagination and hope, albeit shouldering national obligations and imperatives. In the same vein, women empowerment, culture, heritage, and sports will be prioritized as important building blocks to an empowered society. Health and well-being. A healthy population is critical to national development. Hence, the National Development Strategy 1 will therefore accelerate the implementation of health sector reforms. Human capital development. Human capital development and innovation will play a critical role in ensuring that the country achieves sustainable growth, industrialization, and modernization during the strategic period. The development and deployment of appropriate skills, competencies, and capabilities is said to be accelerated under the strategy. The promotion of excellency, innovation, integrity, honor, and hard, honest work among our people should also be our focus going into the future. Devolution and decentralization. In line with the devolution and decentralization agenda, provinces will be developing their provincial plans aligned to the National Development Strategy based on their respective resource endowments and comparative advantages. This trust will ensure that the implementation of the National Development Strategy 1 is driven by communities towards economically prosperous districts and the provinces, and ultimately our nation. On environmental protection, climate resilience, and natural resources management, My government will also put measures to ensure enhanced environmental protection during the National Development Strategy. In this regard, focus will be on climate change mitigation and sustainable natural resources management, as well as sustainable management of wetlands and the rehabilitation of mined areas. Ladies and gentlemen, the monitoring and evaluation framework. The Second Republic is about production, productivity, and action. Hence, the implementation and realization of the National Development Strategy targets will be closely monitored and evaluated through appropriate frameworks. A robust monitoring and evaluation mechanism of the National Development Strategy 1 will be established to ultimately report to Cabinet, which will assume full responsibility of the implementation processes and take timely, remedial, and responsive policy decisions as required. On performance management, the success of Vision 2030 will require reinvigorated and re-engineered government institutions which are aligned to the requirements of our national development agenda. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the successful implementation of the National Development Strategy number 1 is not for government alone. It requires the commitment and dedication of all Zimbabweans across the socio-economic and the political spectrum. The launch of this strategy is therefore a clarion call to all Zimbabweans to roll up their sleeves and prepare to work hard and honestly for the successful implementation of our strategy. In line with our culture of dialogue, the implementation of the National Development Strategy 1 will entail continued dialogue and engagement to maintain the consistency and pragmatism that saw us achieve the successes of the TSP program. Through our collective resolve, unity of purpose, and hard, honest work, the National Vision 2030 shall be achieved. With these few remarks, it is now my honor and privilege to officially declare the National Development Strategy number 1, 2020 to 2025, formally and officially launched. God bless you all.